in specific courses or program. Curriculum typically refers to the knowledge and skills students are expected to learn. Again, this is very important part. Curriculum typically refers to the knowledge and the skills. So we are making our yearly plans according to the worldwide standards and specify what are the wanted skills for that unit or for that chapter. So again, curriculum typically refers to the knowledge and skills students are expected to learn, which includes the learning standards or learning objectives, meaning goals, they are expected to meet. I think it's clear.
Yeah.
Curriculum also includes the units and lessons that teachers teach, the assignments, projects given to the students, the books, materials, videos, presentations, and readings used in a course, and the tests, assessments, and other methods used to evaluate student learning. Then we can go back to the first photo. All or what you teach your students in class, we can call it curriculum. Again, activities, your presentation, your students' presentation, your pamphlet or note, or any worksheets,
Teaching aids.
the book, teaching aids, CDs, activities related to the skills you want to convey or teach to your students, all these are what we call curriculum. Again, another explanation for the word curriculum, it's an individual teacher's curriculum. For example, would be the specific learning standards, lessons, assignments, and materials used to organize and teach a particular course. Repeated, but another definition. Can we summarize what we have just discussed about the word curriculum in these 3 or 4 points? In short, curriculum is knowledge and skills students are expected to learn, units and lessons that teachers teach, assignments and practices given to the students, materials, videos, presentations, and readings used in the course, tests and methods used to evaluate student learning. So all these are curriculum. What are the elements of curriculum? I mean, what does the word curriculum consist of? Curriculum consists of 4 elements, or we have 4 elements of curriculum. Number 1, scope, sequence, integration, and continuity.
Sequence.
We will discuss one by one. Scope, sequence, integration, and continuity. Let's start by number 1, scope. It's the range. It's the range of things that a subject, activity, book, etc. deals with. Scope is best defined as the breadth and depth of content to be covered in a curriculum at any time. For example, week, term, year, over students' school life. In other words, or in short, the word scope means the range. What students should know by the end of this year. This is the scope of curriculum. Again, we said curriculum has 4 elements. It consists of 4 elements, 4 steps. Number 1, scope. What does it mean? What's your aim? What is your goal? By the end of this year, the student should know so and so and so. By the end of this year, the student should acquire and get these or those skills, and you specify the skill. So this is number 1. Is it clear? Number 2, sequence. Is the order in which content is presented to learners over time with respect to other parts of the curriculum? You know sequence? For example, in KG1, the students are supposed to teach some topics.
Yeah.
These topics are sequential, depends on each other. In KG2, he will study some other skills, but that depend on the previous ones. Okay? In KG3, they will have some other skills that were based on the previous ones,
Like a
and
chain.
so on.
Like a chain.
Yes, so it is the meaning of the word sequential. Read the word. The word sequential means the skills depend on each other. So when it happened with you, Mr. Atif, when some of the teacher drop, cancel any chapter, we ask him, why did you cancel it? Is the skill repeated? On what pace you decide to skip or drop it? So, the word sequence, the second element of the curriculum, and all skills and pieces of information and knowledge must be sequential depending on each other. Scope and sequence are simply the what and when of knowledge and understanding that guide instruction. What does this mean? Scope, what you teach. Sequence, when you teach. Some skills are taught, for example, in KG1, other skills are taught in KG2, and so on. Okay? So this is the second element of curriculum. Third, integration. All the subjects must have some kind of integration. You must integrate between subjects. Who can give me an example about the integration between subjects? Between subjects. Integration between subjects. Salamat?
I think it must be in the subject itself. If you study English, if you teach the students any subject, you must make integration between all the skills.
How?
As much as you can.
I want an example.
Suppose that you teach, for example, reading message, how to write a reading message. You can let the students read all of the elements of the words that you give as a guide to use them to write. This is reading, and you can make them write. This is writing at the same time. And I mean, as much as you integrate.
So you give us
the four
examples
skills
about the
together
integration in English.
in English.
Right. What about the integration between subjects?
Integration between subjects. Sometimes in reading, for example, I find the topic about related to science or social, whatever it is. So in this case, I can ask, or I can ask the help of the science teacher or the social teacher to help me in this reading passage. So it is related to
Clarify your example. Clarify.
For example, there was a lesson in reading about stars, planets, and so on. So this is a scientific subject, a scientific reading passage. So what I want to clarify for the students, I asked the science teacher to give me some models to use it in clarifying this lesson to the students. So this
Mr.
is
Mahmoud.
a kind of clarification between
Methods.
Mr. Mahmoud, can you give us an example about the integration between subjects?
I think there is integration between math and physics.
How?
We use equations and formulas from the math in the physics.
Good. What else? We can say here this example. There should be some kinds of integration between subjects, for example, between social and literature, etc.
Mr. Reading, I think
All subjects must have some kinds of integration. Okay, sir.
I think there is some common skills. All students must know in a certain stage of their education to connect between the subjects. As Mr. Mahmoud said, and many times we use math and science. If the students did not get how to deal with fractions and how to deal with other problems in math, he cannot use them in science. And also we can relate between science and the social studies, like in latitude and altitude and other issues, common between social and science. These are common skills.
So, to sum up, to summarize, there should be some kinds of integration between subjects. I mean, the science teacher must support, for example, the social, for example, the math teacher, and vice versa. Number 4, or the fourth element of curriculum, is continuity. Continuity relates to how previous learnings and future learnings relate in terms of sequential, cumulative effects of learning. So we have 4 elements. Scope means your goal by the end of this year. What should your students get or acquire? 2, sequence. There should be sequential skills depending on each other. Number 3, integration. There should be some kinds of integration between subjects and even between the strands in branches in one subject, like English, writing and grammar and vice versa. The fourth element, continuity. The skills should be continuous. The skills should be continuous. You plan. Making feedback to the previous skills and looking forward to the future skills. The skills should be continuous. Understand? We mustn't stop on one limit. This is the meaning of continuity. And it connects between the previous skills, the previous learning, and the future ones. Clear?
Even in the same skill, we can evolve from stage to another stage. For example, like in the first stage of the just we need the students to understand, and then in the upper or the grade we need them to analyze. So this is the development of the same skill.
How do we choose our curriculum? I want to listen to the teachers. How do we choose our curriculum? What are the norms on which you choose your curriculum?
We have many elements. It depends on the society, on the students themselves, the level of the students, and the society, about customs and traditions of the society. You don't have to get something is weird for the society. Like here in Saudi Arabia, you must stick to some figures of ideas that you cannot get out of.
Okay, who else?
Islam traditions.
I not agree with Mr. Ahmad because the traditions or cultures have no relation with must students know at a certain age of their educational life. يعني, for example, students in Japan, in China, in Saudi Arabia, at age of 15 must know certain knowledge about math and science, whatever their culture is.
Mr. Mahmoud, do you agree?
Science and math.
I ask you, do you agree with Mr. Azawi?
Yes.
Because we discussed some points, so I ask you.
And social.
You skip, yes. So I ask you.
Israel.
Hmm?
For science, okay. But for social.
You mean it depends on the subject,
Some shall-
not as a rule?
Social.
Okay, who else? Mr. Ahmed.
I think there are many factors to choose the curriculum, like the time which I teach this curriculum, the time, the experience of the students before, and the environment which I teach this curriculum. I ask the students, or I make an exam for them for the previous experience about this subject. Then I agree with the students to put the curriculum.
Mr. Khaled, you know, this is another fact in Saudi Arabia. But when you look at any governmental, at least any governmental books, you cannot find any uncovered women. You cannot find any sexual issues. You cannot find anything that
Yes,
can
sometimes
differ
the
from-
culture,
The culture, you have to
forces
stick to-
us to choose some topics and
But-
put aside
But
others.
Mr. Asoy is talking about science and math. I
He's
think
talking about
it's-
science-wise.
Science, yeah. Science and math is equal.
Excuse me,
because we
I'm
cannot
talking
find-
about international education.
It's not related to-
Completely different from the local or national education here because in national, each country, each government choose its own curriculum. But when we talk about international education, that means that we have goal. The goal is that my students here who studies in any country should be equal with any other student the same age in any other country. So this is the goal that we should look for, and then choosing the curriculum.
But you
I
have
think
green, you have green
it is
and
just
red
a
lines.
way to reach our goal.
You cannot pass the red line. You have some freedom doing something international, but you cannot pass the red line. For example, in elementary school there in Canada and America, they teach sexual issues for students, for girls and here also we have boys section, and girls section. But the international school in any country is not like this at all. They are in one class, you know. So we are stick here to the traditions and the customs of Saudi Arabia in general.
Let's continue.
Yeah.
In brief, we choose our curriculum according to, this is the most important point, according to international standards and our benchmarking. Who can tell me what's the difference between the standards and the benchmarking? What is the difference between standards and benchmarking?
What do you mean by that?
I think international standards, of course, these are worldwide standards that are agreed upon worldwide. This concerning the international standards. Benchmarking, you make benchmarking like what? You come, for example, this year and write down the results of grade 4. Next year, you will write down the results of grade 4, and so on. After 5 years, for example, you have benchmarking. You mean you compare between the different results in those years and choose the highest one to be as your benchmarking, I mean as an example to be followed. This is the meaning of benchmarking. I think it's clear. An example to be followed. Okay? International standards, I mean worldwide standards that are agreed upon through the whole world. But benchmarking, again, benchmarking, you make statistics for the results in your school. First year, this is the result. Second year, third year, fourth year, and so on. After 5 years or 6 years, you make a comparison. What is the highest one to be an example to be followed? For example, your class got 98%. So I tell all the Arabic teachers, this is our benchmarking. This is our example to be followed. All of you must do like Mr. Mustafa. So this is benchmarking. Okay? In brief, according to the international standards and our benchmarking, we choose the curriculum. Standards and benchmarking define both. They define what students should know, what students should be, what students should show, should do,